Hi, I'm Astrologer Penny Dix. Welcome to my in-depth look at the 8th of April's new moon total solar eclipse in the sign of Aries. Now, a solar eclipse occurs when the moon passes between the sun and the earth, and it casts the moon's shadow on Earth. A solar eclipse can only happen during a new moon. So let's look at where this new moon, the energy of the eclipse is going to be most felt astrologically and symbolically in what part of the world. Because remember, traditionally and symbolically and historically, eclipses often meant huge change. It could be the death of kings or the birth of kings. So it's kind of really packed with a lot of potential energies of change. And remember, it's falling in Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac. So this also packs it with a lot of dynamic kind of intentional energy of initiating things and getting change done, getting things moved on. So let me tell you the path of the eclipse and its line of totality, because the line of totality, the countries that it passes over, they will most be aware of the effect symbolically of this eclipse. So let's have a look, because the regions that will see at least a partial eclipse are the very, very, very kind of western part of Europe. But I think you've got to be really kind of looking to see that. And North America and North and South America, the Pacific, the Atlantic and the Arctic will see a partial eclipse. However, the narrow path of totality, where the moon covers the sun completely, causing a total eclipse, runs through Mexico. So that's from Sinaloa to Coahuila. So I hope I pronounced those names right. So this means that we might see Mexico in the news over the coming months. This may be to do with political changes, shifts in energy, shifts in their approach maybe to the migration problems and the drug problems that occur in that part of the world. Now, in the USA, the path of totality, it goes over Texas or from Texas to Maine. So those are the areas that are going to be mostly affected by this total solar eclipse. Now, only you guys in America can know the necessary symbolism of how that might affect the political status that you find yourselves in, the people that are running for the presidential election. But, you know, these energies are powerful and it can bring change, endings, new beginnings, which are perhaps in some way somebody appears from out of nowhere. Because, you know, if you think of the energy of the eclipse where the shadow of the moon falls across the sun, because the earth is behind the moon and then you've got the sun. So you've got this shadow which is actually on the earth. But of course, what it does is it blocks out our view of the sun. So the sun can represent leaders. The sun represents the heart, the soul of the beating country. So we have to look at what might be happening for world leaders. But I think specifically because the path of totality does go across North America, then I think it's looking at the candidates for the forthcoming elections in November. So that's the rough kind of idea of the energy. Now, in Canada, the path of totality is from Ontario to Newfoundland. So you may also in Canada be experiencing changes in leadership, changes in the way the country is run. Quite, you know, eclipses bring quite significant change, not necessarily on the day, but what happens is the energy happens over the next few months, and we can then look back and relate it to, through the symbolism of the astrology, to the eclipse. This is like recognizing or pointing a point in time. Now, I think it's time for us to put up the chart. So Jerry of Team Tuppence is going to now magically make the chart appear above my left hand and shoulder. So there it is, just like magic. Thank you, Jerry. Now, if you look at the chart, you'll see that we actually have on all 4 quadrants cardinal energy. That means this is a new moon of change. Now remember, new moons always mean new beginnings. And I am going to talk about how it affects you all individually. So I will bring down the kind of energies to the level of how it affects us on a personal level. And obviously I will do that after I've done this brief overview, and all your zodiac signs are time-stamped. And remember, do listen to your rising sign as well as your sun sign. So we have, as you'll see, cardinal energy on all the 4 quadrants and a preponderance of planets on the right-hand side of the chart, or for you it might look as if it's on the left-hand side. I think that's how it will look because it's a kind of mirror image with the video. But if you look to where Aries is on the descendant, this is very much something about the other, because Libra on the ascendant is where everything is funneled through, because eclipses happen where the nodes are. That is why they happen, because it's to do with the ecliptic path of the earth, the sun and the moon, because it's forever changing. So with the South Node in Libra, which is bringing in the energy of change, the energy of past situations to do with significant relationships that perhaps need to shift up a gear. So this can be on a political level, political kind of relationships, that the change needs to happen. But Libra, of course, is about balance. So there is something balanced about the energy of this new moon. But if you look at where it is in Aries, the Aries energy is in the 6th house. This is the house of service to others. This is about people who serve the people. And the people that are in a position of service to a country, to the people, need to kind of up their game. They need to get into a state where they look at their own failings, their own wounds. They look at whether they are still fit enough to do the jobs they're doing. I think that is the only way I can somehow describe it. And we've got to remember that we've got retrograde Mercury also widely conjunct this eclipse. Now it's retrograde. This is talking about subjects which have been around for some time that need to be re-looked at, revamped, redone, renewed, let go of, so the new can come in. We also need to look at the energy further down the chart, where Mars, our planet of energy and action and assertion, that rules Aries. So therefore, it rules this solar eclipse, which kind of injects into the energy of the eclipse more fuel, more energy, more kind of, come on, let's change. This is about people wanting change. Now, we've seen with, say, the elections in Russia, where people have wanted change, but of course things have stayed the same. I still think that even though this eclipse is not visible in Russia, the energy can still be felt. So that behind the scenes, behind what goes on indoors, there will be people rumbling with noises and noises of change and how they can initiate that. So that is part, I think, of this new moon energy. But this Mars in Pisces is conjunct our big outer boy, Saturn. Saturn, the planet of restriction, boundaries, and timing. So Mars conjunct Saturn. Mars wants to get going, but it's in Pisces. So it can feel a little bit as if it's drowning. And Saturn is going, whoa, not yet. So I think this is something about the changes implied or wanted for or wished for through the energy of this new moon total solar eclipse. It's about timing. Now is not the right time to initiate the change. This is all about biding one's time, waiting for the right climate in which to make the changes that need to happen. Now, you can also think about this with regard to your own individual lives, because this, if you listen to what I'm saying and kind of dilute it down, then what in your life, relationship-wise, or with your day-to-day routine needs to change, but you know it's not the right time? Are there big ideas that you have about starting new things, new projects, but it's just not the right time? Then trust the energy of Saturn that is slowing down Mars, that is kind of like a horse in a stable, desperate to get out and just gallop off into the distance. This is Saturn going, whoa, slow down, not just yet. Everything in life is about timing, and we have to trust that. And we have to trust that the divine knows what's best for us, and that with this new moon eclipse, the changes that may be wished for on the world stage, politically, personally, may not happen on the 8th of April. We may see seeds sown, but there is something very significant about biding one's time. I just want to look at some of the other energy before I move on to your individual zodiac signs, because Jupiter in Taurus is trining Ceres in Capricorn. Now, Jupiter, as we know, is heading towards its much talked about conjunction with Uranus. And yes, I am doing a separate video about the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus. So Jupiter in this chart, Jupiter, remember, it is about luck, opportunity, expansion, and it's trining, which is helpful, Ceres, which is about growth. Ceres can even represent pregnancy. I think this is super interesting because Ceres is in Capricorn. Which planet rules Capricorn? Saturn, that is slowing down Mars, that is conjunct Saturn in Pisces, saying everything is about timing. If you think about pregnancy, we cannot rush a pregnancy. We cannot push a baby in the womb to grow. It has to take the time it takes. So there's very much something with this new moon about planting the seeds of the new. But because it's an eclipse, so our ideas or our thoughts or our wishes need to remain hidden, or we keep them to ourselves. It's like when I say, you know, if you put seeds in a pot to grow and you put them in the warmth of the sunlight and you water them a little bit every day, if you keep pulling the earth back to see if they're growing, they won't grow. So this is about, this is about keeping quiet. Sometimes we let our new ideas out too quickly, and it's like the seeds that we have a look to see if they're growing. They fall on fallow ground. If you want the seeds of your ideas, your projects, your plans to take root and grow, keep them to yourself. And the world leaders could learn something from this. Maybe they too, if they have some positive ideas for the future, maybe they need to keep them to themselves, because, you know, there's two ways everything can go. One is down the road of, you know, negativity and destruction. The other is towards positivity and construction. Which do we want? Well, I know what I want. I want positivity and constructive ways forward. We can intend that with this new moon. We can intend it for the planet. It's the first sign of the zodiac. The energy is ripe with kind of fire. It's like an ignition. It's like a real kind of boost of this fiery energy of Aries to say there is a way to allow new ideas and dreams to be given birth to. And just quickly before I go on to your individual signs, Venus is conjunct Hygeia in Aries, and Hygeia is another dwarf planet and part of that stellium that you can see in the chart in Aries. And Hygeia is about health and maintaining good health. Venus, of course, is about relationship. Let's keep it with relationship. Let's intend healthy relationships with ourselves, with the people we work with the people we live with the people we're friends with. Let's intend good wishes and good thoughts, because Pluto, our planet of transformation, in Aquarius, just sitting there at 1 degree, having a look round till it just moves back briefly into Capricorn in the end of September. Pluto is sextiling, which is helpful, Venus and Hygeia in Aries. Pluto is saying you can really transform yourself through this new moon eclipse energy by keeping to yourself parts of yourself, ideas that need to take time in your psyche, in your soul, to take root. Don't go telling everybody else what your great ideas are. Oh, let the world leaders do that. They'll do it anyway. But you know, they may find that if they do that, these ideas fall on unfertile ground. Let's see. It'll be interesting to see how this unfolds. So at this point, the chart will magically disappear, just like that. And I'm not going to say the joke because most of you will be too old and obviously don't know English humour, but there was a comedian called Tommy Cooper who used to go, not like that, just like that. Anyway, I'm just having a little silly moment. But, you know, humour is so important, even if it's not funny, because I just think we need to keep the energy light. We need to keep our frequency light. On a high frequency, we need to tune in to positive, good, higher octave energies. And if we do that, and if we contain the energies we've got within, then we can really create something beautiful for ourselves with the energy of this eclipse. And world leaders do have the opportunity to create something good and positive for the planet. We can but hope. So let's move on to your individual signs. So let's start with Aries. Well, Aries, it's in your first house because, of course, it's in your sign. This is actually quite a big thing. And I think, Aries, you, of all the signs, are going to notice on a personal level that you are being pushed, encouraged, almost given a little gentle nudge or shove by the cosmos to bring about some much needed change into your life. Now, only you can know what that's about. And if you're Sun Aries or Aries rising, then Aries rising, you will know that it's very much about you and how you show yourself to the world. It may be that you want to indulge in a complete makeover, cut your hair, change the colour of your hair, do something that is quite dramatic to make you feel that you can live out this new moon energy. But remember, it's also how others experience you. And if your sun in Aries, then this is the double energy of this. Because if you're, you know, it really does emphasize the need to look at and review what you show to the world, what side of you show to the world. Remember, it's an eclipse, depending where it falls in your chart, because degrees tend to need to be quite exact or close to the ascendant or the sun, for instance, in this case. Then we can feel it more keenly. And this eclipse is at 19 degrees and 23 minutes. So if you know you have your sun, for example, at 19 degrees and a few minutes, or 20 degrees or 18 degrees, then this eclipse will be affecting you. Not necessarily on the day of the eclipse, but it will be affecting you soon after. So let's move on to Taurus, because Taurus, for you, this is in your 12th house. So remember, this is for Sun Taurus or rising sign in Taurus. This is very much, again, about the inner you. You may be feeling that you've got so much to do, so many ideas of things that you want to get going, really chomping at the bit of what you've got to do. And something is restricting you, holding you back, imprisoning you. And also you might feel momentarily, and I mean momentarily, just not in tune with those psychic abilities or the intuitive side of your nature, because it's the 12th house, it's an eclipse. It's like part of you gets overshadowed. Maybe you are overshadowing some part of you. Try and not make things overcomplicated for yourself, Taurus. Just take the advantage of taking some time out with this energy and allowing yourself to tune in on an inner level and think, what does my inner self truly, truly want for me for the rest of this year? Let's keep it simple. Then, with the rest of the energy that you have, I'm thinking of that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in your sign, then you have some pretty amazing opportunities coming up. But if you remember what I said at the beginning in the overview, this is an eclipse about timing. Time is all important. Things need to unfold in their own way, in their own time. Just trust that, Taurus. Right, Gemini. So it's your 11th house of hopes, wishes. This can be the internet. It can be connecting with the wider community. But Gemini, you like to come up with innovative ideas. And I think you like new moons because you think, oh, what can I initiate now? What ideas can I come up with? And you are about communication. But remember, your ruling planet Mercury is retrograde. Take heed of that retrograde energy. It's slowing you down for a reason. Remember, right from the start, I've been talking about this eclipse as being an eclipse about timing. Because of that Mars conjunct Saturn. And Mars rules Aries and the new moon, and Saturn is holding Mars back and saying, not yet, we have to wait. This is about timing. So bear that in mind. Okay, so let's move on to Cancer. Cancer, it's your 10th house. This is your career if you're still working. It's your passion. It's your soul path. Or it's also where you can be in the public eye. So, Cancer, what are you being also held back from? Is there something you want to make public? And you've been thinking, April, after Easter, spring, this is a good time to get all these things going. I would say slow down a bit. You know, if I were you, Cancer, I'd probably wait a little bit more to the end of the month, because I think that energy might be a bit better for you to initiate these ideas. But it is a new moon, and I do think your career will be taking a different path. Now, I know that a lot of you that watch me are not working and you're retired, or you're stay-at-home mums. Absolutely nothing wrong with that, because bringing up children is a career in itself. And so, you know, there's something here, Cancer, about what is it that you really want to do? Have you thought lately about what would really give you the incentive to create something new out of the energy of this wonderful new moon solar eclipse? Because it feels as if for a moment, momentarily, your imagination is kind of offline. And what I want to say is your imagination will only be offline for a short amount of time, just for the amount of time of the length of the eclipse, which will be about a few minutes or a bit longer. I can't remember. I'll have to go back and have a look at the timeanddate.com. Timeanddate.com, great website for all eclipse information, moon energy, lunar energy, anything like that. It's great. So also there may be something happening in your career, Cancer, that is pushing you into the public eye, and you're a little bit shy to come out and be there. Don't be shy, Cancer. It'll be because you've done something that's worth seeing by the public. Otherwise, it wouldn't be happening. So, Cancer, just keep cool. This ultimately can be a good new moon for you. I really do feel that. So let's move on to Leo. Leo, this is your 9th house. This, of course, is higher education. It's about truth. It's about justice. It's about spiritual enlightenment. So what are you aspiring to? If you have any planets or points of significance in this part of your chart, you need to have a look at them, because whatever the energy is of that particular point, it's being emphasized, and whatever it is that you want to act out, show, display through that particular planet or astrological symbol, it's asking you to take a little bit more time, to slow down. You know, it's like Rome wasn't built in a day. And as Jerry always says to me, slow and steady wins the race. So maybe that is part of the message of this new moon for you. Also, I think that on some kind of spiritual level, you are aspiring to connect to these higher frequencies, but please, Leo, don't get in your own way. Don't overthink it. Sometimes what we do is we try too hard. We think, why can't I connect? I'm sure everyone else can connect. Everyone else talks about spirit guides or their guides or their this or their that or their, you know, channeled beings or whatever. And I've got absolutely nothing. And, you know, we go through times like that where we just are disconnected. It doesn't mean we're completely disconnected. It's just for the time being. It's like we're just not in touch. And that's okay. You know, if it was there all the time, you'd be exhausted. So be grateful that when you do connect with these higher frequencies, it's kind of has an on-off switch, and you can be in charge of that on-off switch. Maybe you have been unconsciously and not realized. So maybe that's something of the energy of what this particular eclipse is about. Because the eclipse, we could say, is an on-off switch. It's like 1 minute the sun is there, and then it's not. And let's not forget, the sun is your ruling planet, or star, we could say. And the sun is a key player in this eclipse. Its light is hidden and held back. It's blocked out momentarily. Leo, you may just feel on the 8th of April that someone has stolen your thunder, and you feel a little bit, nobody notices me. Nobody thinks about me. Why don't I get the attention as a Leo I should, you know, deserve? Leo, stop it. Everything's fine. And everything will be fine. And you will connect with these other energies again. Just be grateful that it's not morning, noon and night, and even when you're sleeping. If it is, use this energy to have a good word with them and tell them to switch off at times. Right, let's move on to Virgo. Virgo, it's your 8th house. Now, we know that this house is about pensions, investments. It can be joint finance. It's also hidden secrets. It can be shadow work, which is interesting because it's an eclipse, and transformation. Now, let's think about this, Virgo, because Virgo, you are about service, and in the actual chart of the event, the eclipse is in the house of service. So I think you will be feeling this eclipse quite keenly. I think you may be feeling a little bit flat to begin with. I think you may be wondering about just a kind of, you know, you can be prone to a bit of anxiety. And it feels as if there is an element here of anxiety where you are worrying about things that haven't happened. Listen, Virgo, it's a new moon. Make sure your intentions are good. Make sure they are on a high level, on a high frequency, for the greatest good of you and for the greatest good of everyone else. And, you know, that goes for all of us. We have to make sure that all our intentions with any new moon, especially with an eclipse, are for the greatest good of us and the greatest good of the planet and everyone else. So try and, you know, it may be because it's an eclipse, I'm thinking about this hidden secrets, that something that has been kept secret, maybe you've been holding a secret, maybe it's time to actually bring it out into the open. That could be something to do with this energy, Virgo. Right, let's move on to Libra. Because for you, Libra, of course, it is in your 7th house of significant relationships. This can also be business relationships and business partners. So it's an eclipse, but it's a new moon. You know, if you're not in a relationship, then I'd say there will be one, but it's not just yet. You may even have set your sights on someone, but shh, don't scare them off. It's not the right time. Be mindful of that and wait. I don't think things will unfold until the full moon comes in Aries, which is a while off. So just be patient, Libra, because this is about a significant relationship. Now, if this is about a business partnership, it could mean that there are contracts or situations that need to be re-looked at and reviewed because of that Mercury retrograde. And so this would be a good time to sit down with your business partner and really have a look at that energy and see what you can make of it and how you can sort things out. So there we go. So let's now move on to Scorpio. Scorpio, it's in the part of your chart which is where the new moon is in the actual event chart, the house of service, the house of our daily routine. It can also represent pets and our personal health. It's a new moon, total solar eclipse. So changes to your daily routine, but there may be changes that you're making that you're keeping to yourself. You know, you're quite a secretive soul, Scorpio. You may be deciding to make changes that affect others, but it's not the right time to actually tell them. And it may also be that your time is being taken up a bit with looking after others at the moment in some form or other, or looking after, literally looking after small animals and pets. There's something about also your daily routine is changing with this new moon, and it's about timing. There are things that you want to change, Scorpio, but it's about timing. As I said, that Mars in Pisces is really being held up by Saturn. Let's wait for Mars to get into Aries before things will start to ramp up. Then I think you'll see some shifts in the energy, especially if it's to do with your daily routine. So let's now move on to Sagittarius. So it's your 5th house. Now I call the house of, the 5th house, the house of fun. It's also the house of creativity. It's arts, it's children, it's entertainment, it's love affairs. So It's a new moon total solar eclipse. What are you keeping under wraps that you're biding your time before you actually show people what you've been working on? I think you've been working on something in secret and it's just not quite ready to be revealed to the public in general. And it sounds as if it's something quite fun. Also, this new moon could mean that you're indulging in a secret love affair. Well, it's not very secret now I've said it on YouTube, is it? But if you do have a secret love affair, you better make sure that once the eclipse energy is over, it doesn't get revealed. That's just a heads up and a warning, Sagittarius. So if you don't want people to know about the fun you're having, shh, keep quiet. So just be careful. Let's move on to Capricorn. Capricorn, it's in your 4th house. This, of course, is the house of home, family. It can be your early home life. It's also about our parents and our ancestry, our genealogy. It's a new moon total solar eclipse. Some of you could just be doing a makeover at home. Some of you may be in the process or have already moved home. And you're really beginning to feel that you are able to call your new place of residence home. And it may be because a significant change has happened that is enabling you to feel more secure about calling this new place of residence home. There seems to be something a little bit kind of almost, it feels closed in and secret in some way. And it may just be that you feel you need the security and safety of family around you for whatever reason, to help you make some decisions about where you go from here. I think Capricorn, you have decisions that need to be made. I'm thinking of Cancer because it's the opposite sign to Capricorn, and there seem to be some similarities because for Cancer, it was in the 10th house of career. And of course, which is interesting because the 4th house is a Cancer house and the 10th house is actually a Capricorn house. So you've kind of done a swap. So there's something here about really being able to call home home, making it your own again in whatever way that feels right for you. Let's move on to Aquarius. So Aquarius, it's in your 3rd house. This, of course, is the local community. Can be short journeys around your own locality. Can be communication, of course. It's writing or it's collating information, writing that book. Aquarius, it's a new moon, but it's an eclipse. What are you thinking about that you would like to perhaps write down, write, blogs, create something of a creative nature, something about how you're feeling, collating information, but you need to hold it back a bit, or it's something that you just feel you're not ready to let it out to the wider community, because I'm thinking of that Mercury retrograde that is asking you to keep things somewhat hidden for a while, and also asking you to review what you write and make sure that information that you do put out is correct. That's the problem. Sometimes we just don't, or we're not able to do that. So just bear that in mind, Aquarius. And I think also you may just be feeling you want to stay at home a bit, because it is about the local community, and maybe you're just feeling a little bit not wanting to see people. Sometimes, you know, we all have those times where we want to be a little bit of a hermit. So I think it's a little bit of a hermit time for you. So there we go, Aquarius. Now we're going to move on to my oceans of emotion. I'll just have some water and prepare myself for, of course, who I always talk about. Pisces, my oceans of emotions. So Pisces, well, Pisces, that's Saturn in your first house, holding Mars back, saying, whoa, whoa. This is like, you know, King Canute holding back the sea, telling the tide to not come in. It's not going to happen. Things are changing, Pisces, whether you like it or not, and they're changing fast. Now, Pisces, this is in your second house, and this is about your financial situation, how you manage your finances, and about your material possessions. It's also what you do for a living and how you manage to get stability into your life. And Saturn has been really helping you with that. And it's also about your self-worth and how you value you. So Pisces, I think that this new moon is in many ways helping you to feel a little bit stronger again, a little bit more in touch and in charge with the direction that you want to go in. I think there are some things that you need to keep under wraps. I think you have some ideas, some money spinning or money making ideas that you need to keep to yourself. Because if you remember when I was talking about our pot with seeds, we don't keep putting the earth back to see if they're growing. Please don't do this with your plans. Be mindful about whom you share your ideas with. Whatever that means to you, don't share your ideas with others. They may just try and eclipse you and steal them. You know, people do it without even thinking. They hear something, they think, oh, that's a good idea, I'll do that. And the next thing you know, they've got it up and running before you've even started to do it. So I think just be mindful of that. And I think that you are beginning to feel more grounded with Saturn in your sign. A lot of you have been experiencing and have still got to come Saturn conjunct your Sun in Pisces. And so that is slowing you down, but slowing you down in a good way. Because it's giving, if things have happened to you to slow you down, especially health-wise, broken bones, anything like that, anything that is slowing you down, that is making you take time out, listen to what the cosmos is telling you. It's asking you to slow down. Because if you don't, with Saturn in your sign, then Saturn will bring an event to slow you down. And remember, you've got Mars in your sign, and Saturn is kind of stopping Mars moving, saying, slow down, slow down. So that really is the message with this new moon. Be careful who you give or who you tell your ideas to, because someone might just try and eclipse you and steal them. That's really, truly what I feel. So be careful, Pisces. So there we go. We have all the 12 signs. I don't think I've missed any out. I know you will tell me if I have. I will try and go back and watch this all to make sure it's all in order. Thank you so much for joining me for this new moon total solar eclipse in Aries on the 8th of April. Remember, if you are in the path of totality and you're able to see the eclipse, to wear protective glasses. All those areas, I have no doubt, will have special spectacles that you can buy to cover your eyes and make sure you do not blind yourself by looking at the sun. Because, you know, our star is a pretty powerful, powerful star. So let's not forget that. All right, on that note, thank you so much for joining me. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And remember to check out the Outer Planet series on my YouTube channel. And we've got Pluto, Uranus, and Saturn already up. And coming this month of April, we will have Neptune in 2024 and how it will affect all the zodiac signs. And then next month, May, we will have Jupiter. Jupiter in 2024, and Jupiter in May, our planet of opportunity and expansion and luck, moves into Gemini. So that could be super cool and super exciting. So on that note, thanks so much for joining me. And I really look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.